Hi, my name is Pantazi, and today we're going to be discussing Taikyoku. Now, Taikyoku is a very basic form that's used in Shotokan primarily, but many other styles as well, like Shito-ryu and some others. Anyway, the main proponent or the main technique in that form, it's a very basic form with very few hand movements, is bringing one hand up and bringing one hand downward. The downward one going forward and out, the inward pulling back as a withdrawing technique. Then the opposite transition of altering the hands so they come down to different positionings. That's the whole basis of this kata, along with some C-stepping actions. It just goes in an I shape, okay, and it's very simple, and it's one of the first katas that is taught to many karate students around the world. I used it in my own school as both an adult curriculum as well as a junior curriculum too for the kids. Now, even the kids, we used to take the form and we'd do it in different patterns for demonstration. And by different patterns, I mean you'd have 4 people back to back and they'd all go off in their own direction and then meet right back to where they started from. And it looked great for a group performance for tournaments. I also broke it down into 12 bunkai. And for each ranking, they had to get down and be able to work in a very high stress situation, the 3 bunkai for each level. All right, and it was broken down into all grappling tuite type of an action. There was no fisticuffs because I didn't teach my young students, especially with the loose joints and everything, I didn't teach them how to do striking, because a young wrist, a young connective tissue, when you strike, especially if you're working on heavy bags and whatnot, can get damaged over time. So what I did was I started working them on the grappling to develop the tensile strength of their muscles and joints and the ligaments and tendons. And that gave them the ability to go into the striking actions after they worked through a little bit of the grappling actions, like a year of grappling actions first. That was their primer, and kids love to grapple, so you know, they wrestle all the time. So this is the way I was teaching my students, but this is the actions, the 12 actions came out of that very simple hand pattern. And they got very adept, and they could do this blindfolded, they could do it in mass attack, they could do it in staged forced attack. So it became something very real for them in a self-defense situation. And yes, a few of my students had told me that it worked when they needed their self-protection. And I also added to my adult curriculum, we took the same basic bunkai, as you will, the 12 bunkai, and we Kyushoized it. And the Kyusho helped the adults get a much better effect. And of course, we worked them on the ballistics, dealing with attacks of striking along with multiple person attacks, and the same type of scenarios, only on a much more increased level of intensity, stress, and urgency. So the pattern, the hand pattern, the one hand pattern was just an awesome way to work with adults as well as kids. Anyway, this Taikyoku, I'm going to go through this film here in Patreon, and it's already on the Platinum subscription, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it into the Patreon as well. So if you want to see this form broken down into 9 levels of attack, from arm destructions to head attacks, body attacks, leg attacks, takedowns, grappling, tuite, knife work, just go to the Patreon channel or go to the Platinum and see the entire film. Again, the Taikyoku is very similar to many different styles, from Shotokan to Shito-ryu to many others, as well as Taekwondo, but they call it Chunji. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to really diversify into this in the Patreon channel. So I'll show you the links below that you can get the access.